非常精彩的国际智慧校园展览。因此接下来2天的时间都有非常丰富可期的展会内容，要邀请大家一同共襄盛举。这一次的大会呢，非常荣幸哦，邀请到国内产官学研各界的精英，还有各界的朋友，甚至如果您眼睛有仔细观察到的话，其实呢，已经有非常多现场的贵宾是远从世界各地而来的专家学者，就是要跟台湾所有的朋友，还有产学界研的精英们一起共襄盛举，来分享全球创新教育、智能学习还有智慧学习的新趋势，也要带入各国的创新方案。因此呢，今天大会的一开始呢，就要来介绍整个大会的贵宾。那么接下来呢，贵宾您的名字如果被念到了，也麻烦您站起来向大家挥挥手，让大家认识您。So first, we would like to introduce our honorable guest today. And if your name is called upon, please stand up a little bit and wave your hands so all of us can get to know you a little bit better. 好，首先呢，我要介绍来自Minerva School 的亚洲区总裁 Mr. Ken Ross。也要介绍远从意大利来台的 Arduino 的执行长 Mr. Federico Musto。紧接着欢迎 Google for Education 亚太区的代表 Mr. 酸油。另外呢，还有其他亚洲来自各个不同国家跟各个不同城市的代表，我们欢迎香港浸信会天虹小学朱子颖校长，欢迎新加坡公益教育局科技发展中心郑传安经理，欢迎曼谷都会管理局教育顾问 Mr. Konkiti。接下来呢，要欢迎经济部工业局杨志清组长，欢迎经济部工业局谢荣峰副组长，欢迎资策会数位教育研究所蔡义昌副所长，接下来我们再欢迎这个资策会数位教育研究所李进宝所长。好，接下来呢，我们还有许多位来自产业界的贵宾哦。首先第一位，我们欢迎宏基黄少华董事长，也掌声欢迎来自于澳门电讯黄永简总监。好，我们欢迎在 Intel 呢也有来自几个贵宾的产业界的代表，欢迎 Intel Solution Architect Mr. Vitashi。另外呢，也来自于这个 Lenoncom CEO Tiraka。好，来自于 A to Z Technology 呢，也有2位贵宾，是 Mr. Effendi， 同样也是 A to Z Technology Mr. Fred 郭。另外呢，还有来自于约旦的黄丽玲伊萨。好，这些呢来自于产官学界不同的主办单位，还有不同的研究机构、不同的这个企业的代表，接下来也会在这2天的大会呢，跟着所有的共襄盛举的嘉宾们一起来探讨接下来未来数位学习、数位产业，还有智慧校园的未来趋势。数位学习呢，现在已经成为生活当中不可或缺，那么影响台湾产业非常深远的一个重要的议题，也期盼呢，在大会上面所有的美好的愿景哦，都能够一一实现。因此，接下来的时间呢，要让我们邀请主办单位经济部工业局杨志清组长来为我们致辞，有请杨志清组长。 Now let's please welcome Mr. Zhi Qingyang, who is the Director of Industrial Development Bureau, Ministry of Economic Affairs.
各位现场的嘉宾、各位贵宾，大家早安，大家好。很高兴代表经济部工业局来到现场跟大家致意。我现在刚刚同仁给我的资讯说，我们今天的卡司呢相当的坚强，包括有我们这个来自这个 Manava School 的 Ken Ross， 还有呢我们 Google for Education 亚太区总裁Samuel， 还有呢这个Arduino 的执行长就是 Miso， 他来到这边那大家呢可能不是冲着我来的，是冲着我们在场的卡司来的在这里呢欢迎大家的到来，
欢迎。
谢谢。那今天呢我们这个国际学习跨域创新论坛呢会有一系列的相当的活动，除了刚刚所介绍的卡司之外呢，我们也会跟各位报告台湾在数位学习、在智慧校园的一些成果。那先各位报告说这个台湾在智慧校园的一些情形。目前呢，我们从这个资策会不管是蔡一昌副首长以及呢李进宝首长的一个努力之下，我们过去3年来已经在国际上建立了大概有41所的一个国际上的这个智慧校园的示范学校。那这些示范学校呢，也带领了大概有1万多名的这个学生、老师跟家长呢做了一些体验。我想这些成果就是很好的一个 demo site， 也让台湾的能量能继续展现。那在未来呢，我们也会应用台湾的 ICT 的技术，持续的让智慧学习、智慧校园的这些成果，在国际上各个国家、各个地区展现我们的服务能量。那也跟各位报告我们目前在国际上的一些成果。我们目前在越南在泰国也在印尼呢都有不错的一些时机，也感谢各位现场嘉宾来到现场给我们肯定。那我们今天的卡司呢刚刚有报告过有3位那先从 Arduino 开始。 Arduino 它会从这个物联网的教育的一个创客的一个趋势跟我们待会会做分享，我想让各位的嘉宾呢会有很不错的一个丰富的体验。那再来是呢，这个 Google 亚太区的执行长也会跟我们做一些分享，不管是从这个资源有限的情况之下，如何让智慧校园里面的这些资源更有效的应用，让这些资讯人员的能力能够有更有效率的提升，让不管是学生、家长以及呢这个老师都能够有更好的一个服务的效率跟更好的学习成果。那也跟各位报告一个消息，就是在我们会场的外面呢就在您如果从这个大门出去往右边直走，我们有一个展区，这个展区有智慧校园一日生活圈，也希望大家在今天的论坛之后的空档到现场去看一看这些厂商所实际的展现的能量。那仅在此呢，谢谢大家呢在百忙之中的到来，也希望我们今天呢经由这么多卡司的分享，大家的收获呢都能够满满。敬祝大家身体健康，事事如意，谢谢。
非常感谢杨组长的致辞。那我们要邀请组长请留步在舞台上，因为接下来呢，我们就要一同为2016国际智慧校园与学习跨域创新论坛暨展览来揭开序幕要邀请各位的贵宾再次来到舞台上。Now let's invite all our honorable guests come onto the stage again. Let's begin our opening ceremony. 首先呢，让我们再欢迎一次来自于 Minerva School 亚洲区总裁 Mr. Ken Ross come onto the stage, please. 欢迎 Arduino 执行长 Mr. Federico Musto. 欢迎 Google for Education 亚太区的代表 Mr. Suan Yu. 欢迎香港浸信会千虹小学朱子颖校长。也欢迎新加坡公益教育局科技发展中心郑传安经理。欢迎曼谷都会管理局教育顾问 Mr. Konkiti。也欢迎澳门电信商业服务发展部黄永简总监。 以及欢迎主办单位资策会数位教育研究所李进宝所长。感谢所有的嘉宾一同到舞台前来。感谢所有的讲者，所有的嘉宾，为我们一起留下最珍贵的画面。有请台下的媒体朋友也帮我们一起捕捉这个珍贵的镜头。Let's say cheese。好，活泼一点的话，有请台上的讲者也一起比个赞，让我们可以留下充满精神而且象征正式开幕的仪式以及画面。我们一同看舞台的正中间。Oh, it's very local. Yay, Jester! 好，在这里呢，正式宣布2016年国际智慧校园与学习跨域创新论坛暨展览正式开始。希望接下来这个展览能够替产业带来无限的商机，也预祝展出成功。谢谢台上所有的讲者跟贵宾。好，相信所有现在很多人参加了报名，然后也非常期待我们精心安排的第一场的专题演讲。专题演讲命名为高等教育的未来，非常荣幸呢是邀请到颠覆传统高等教育的 Minerva School 亚洲区总裁 Mr. Ken Ross 要上来跟我们一起分享高等教育的未来。就让我们用最热烈的掌声来欢迎 Mr. Ken Ross come onto the stage and share with us what do you see about our future education, of higher education, and how to bring more impact to the society.
Okay. 各位来宾早上好，我是来自 Minerva Schools 的 Ken Ross。首先要感谢经济部工业局还有数位教育研究所的邀请和安排，我今天很荣幸到这边来和大家分享。那么中国有一句古话叫做天不怕地不怕，只怕外国人讲中国话。结果呢，所以我今天要切换一下，用英文讲了哈，请敬请谅解了。So I'd like to talk about this topic today, this subject today. How best to prepare our best and brightest for not only the future, but even today, because we are already into the 21st century. And in doing so, I'd like to share with you an idea, a model. It's not just an idea, it's actually now a university institution, right, that has been founded and created by some of the leaders of our traditional top universities in the United States. So former presidents of Harvard, deans of Harvard, the dean of Stanford, deans from the Wharton School, the University of Pennsylvania. People who understand higher education at a deep level, particularly in the United States. They know what's good about it, they know what's bad about it, and they have some ideas about how we can create something better. So, preparing students for the 21st century, right? We all know that talent knows no bounds, right? There are extraordinarily gifted and talented students from all around the world. However, we also know, some of us by personal experience, most of us have been to university here, right, that even the world's best universities, and as an American I can say, as a graduate of Harvard University, I can say even our best universities there are failing to prepare students adequately for future success, failing to prepare students for an ever-changing and uncertain world, an uncertain future. Here's some numbers that I always find a little bit scary to look at. So, almost all of university presidents and deans and provosts, the leaders of our great universities around the world, are fully confident, almost all of them, say that their universities, their institutions, effectively prepare young people for the workforce, for life. 96% of them. However, when you ask employers, public sector, private sector, government, right, you ask them, are these institutions' graduates well prepared for the workforce? They overwhelmingly say no. there is a huge gap right here. Some of us have maybe experienced this personally, right? When maybe we've also ourselves graduated from some of the world's top universities without the skills and abilities to be successful in the workplace, right? Let me share with you also some information about what does success mean for today's undergraduates, today's university students, or maybe even today's high school students. Right? It shouldn't be surprising that most university students are looking to go to university. One of the main reasons is because they're looking for entrance to a successful career path, right? They're looking for a good job. Makes sense. But here's the thing. Most university students, and certainly most secondary and primary school students, will end up in jobs, in industries, in companies that do not exist today. So how do we prepare for that? How do you prepare for that? How do they prepare for that? A bit scary maybe for some people. I think that many of you have seen this actually in the most recent edition of Weilai Family, the magazine in Taiwan. I know there was an interview with somebody who I think he was an advisor to American President Obama, and also listed out these skills. It should come as no surprise to those of us as working adults, right, that these, according at least to the World Economic Forum and the World Bank, are the key job skills necessary in our modern era. They're necessary now. They say the top job skills needed in 2020. Well, we need them today because you and I use these daily on a daily basis, hopefully effectively, to do what we do, regardless of whether we run a government bureau, regardless of whether we run a private company, whether we're in research, whether we're in the arts, whether we're in academia, doesn't matter. But we also know that the world's great universities don't actually teach these things. Okay, here's another question. What about those students out there that are looking for something more than just a job, right? University certainly is designed, hopefully, to help us improve our career, but what else is there? To put it another way, how can we better educate the next generation of global innovators, people who will be impactful global citizens who will run the major institutions of the world, not just of one country, of the world in the future? And we would say, in order to change the world and have these young people change the world, you need to change the way they think. It's not just about content knowledge, it's about changing the way you think. Okay, so let's talk about a new approach. We all know what university is in its current form, right? How many people here have been to university? Well, it's a valid question. My parents didn't go to university, right? Valid question. So many people have. Right? We know what it is. Do you think it could be better than what it is? Right? See a lot of nods, right? So what about just a new approach? What about just starting from scratch? And I'm not talking about taking our traditional great universities and improving them here and tweaking them here and making them a bit better. I'm talking about starting with a fresh blank sheet of paper. Reimagining the university, a new approach for a new era. And I'm going to share with you what some of us believe this new approach should look like at a general level, right? This experience or this institution should provide global experience for students, right? And that just doesn't mean going from maybe your home country to another country and staying there for 4 years. It means a truly global experience in multiple locations, right? There should be a focus on the learning and the application of practical knowledge. So those 10 skills that I mentioned before, that the World Economic Forum says are critical for whatever job or career you have or whatever you do in life. People should learn and apply these across multiple disciplines. Third, we believe that you can redesign the classroom to employ active learning rather than passive learning, because we know the data shows that active learning is much more effective, right, than this. Right? This is very passive. You guys are listening to me lecture. Right? Not a good thing, actually. It's a little bit of a big room. It'd be tough to do something quite active here, right? But ideally we would. Right? And then we're talking about an institution that is uniquely internationally accessible. So some people ask at this point, okay, Ken, you're from the United States and you're talking about a U.S. college, right? U.S. university. Minerva is a U.S. university. But as you will see, it is not a university just for American students. And as a result, it is very, very relevant for also everybody in this room. Okay, so global experience. Think about how we can redesign university to allow students to immerse themselves in various global cultures, right? Simply put, instead of spending your 4 years at university in one place, you spend it in 7 places, right? San Francisco, Berlin, Germany, Buenos Aires, Argentina, Seoul, Korea, Bangalore, India, London, and one other place that we have yet to announce. We will soon, right? And eventually Minerva will have, I don't know, maybe a dozen or 2 different cities where students will spend their time, right? But here's the thing. This is not your stereotypical traditional study abroad. It's not a bunch of people from China going to the US and then spending time with all the Chinese people there. It's not a bunch of Americans going to Italy and just hanging out with a bunch of Americans in Italy, which is what happens, right? It's about immersing in these cities. And as a result, Minerva does not have a traditional campus. We do not build, in any of these places, or even in our home base of San Francisco, we do not build a traditional campus. We don't have the pretty buildings, we don't have the dining halls, we don't even have the laboratories. Why not? Because these resources and facilities exist in abundance in these locations. Why would I spend billions and billions of US dollars, right, to build an amazing laboratory facility in London or Seoul or even Bangalore when they already exist there? Why don't I, as an institution, make those long-term relationships with those best-in-class resources in these locations such that my students can use them when they travel there together? It gets students out into community, right? It forces them to engage with communities. They develop an understanding and appreciation for other cultures, other people. They use best-in-class resources. It saves a lot of cost because we don't build our own. And as you can see, it's why we can actually provide this education for a much lower cost, as I'll talk about in a minute. So it's a very different take on, it's not just traveling around, but it's also immersing in these locations, right? In addition to traveling around the world, as I mentioned before, this is an institution that educates people from around the world. So most of our top institutions in the United States and a few in the UK, on average, only about 10% of students at an Ivy League school in the United States are not from the United States, are not American. And maybe this is normal. If you go to Taida, National Taiwan University, most of the students are Taiwanese students. If you go to a school in France, Sorbonne or something, most students are from the local country. That's the traditional model for university that we all know. Well, at Minerva, we've said, forget about that. Yes, we're a U.S.-style university. We have sort of accredited U.S. diploma. But we are here for the brightest and most motivated students from all around the world. And if you do that, if you remove quotas, 就废除所有的名额余额限制 sometimes I go back and forth, right? For students, if you do that, you get a very, very different makeup of students. And the vast majority of our students, 75 to 80%, are not American. Yet we're an American university. I always ask, and people say, that's strange. And I say, what would MIT look like if it did not discriminate against non-Americans? It would be 40% Asian students, right? You and I all know that. And so that's a little bit more of what we have here. Okay, so in addition to global experience, let's talk about learning practical knowledge, right? And again, let's go back to those competencies, or some of those competencies we saw in that World Economic Forum list, right? Think of these four meta competencies, these big level competencies: critical thinking, creative thinking, effective communication, and effective interaction, right? Think of these. Because regardless of whether you look at the World Economic Forum list or you look at somebody else's list, everyone has their own list, right? These meta skills come up again and again and again. And you and I all know this, that this is what we use. These are things we use on a daily basis to succeed in whatever we do, right? But here's the thing. All of our great traditional universities, at least in the United States, say they teach students these things. Actually, they don't, right? And I know that very, very personally from being in one of those institutions, right? They disseminate content, right? That's the traditional model. And one of the reasons is you don't just, it's somewhat a little bit difficult to teach these things because something like creative thinking, critical thinking, it's not just one thing, right? Even just critical thinking is comprised of many different call them cognitive processes, right? And so what Minerva has actually done, right, because there are a lot of cognitive scientists who have come together to build Minerva. A lot of the people behind Minerva are experts at the science of learning, are experts in cognitive science. And they said, listen, let's break down these meta capacities. Let's break down these big skill sets, these 4 big skill sets, into component parts. So imagine students learning 120 different habits of mind and foundational concepts, right? The core fundamental building blocks, cognitive building blocks of those meta skills, right? Things like checking for claims, identifying audiences and tailoring messages, right? Or if it's things like foundational concepts, running cost-benefit analysis, doing BATNAs, stuff like that. 120 of these things. And you look at the list of these and you'd be like, oh, this makes sense. Some of these maybe you didn't think of in a structured way. But they are things that can and should be learned and taught in a structured way, right? And not only in one discipline, but across multiple disciplines, right? And then we believe when a better university, which is what we're trying to build, not only do you learn and are students taught skills and apply them across multiple disciplines and deeply for 4 years, but when it comes to content, when it comes to majors and concentrations and things like this, the content needs to be reorganized, right? Think about it. Your university, my university, has a biology major, and it has a history major, and it has an economics major. And our schools have had these for a long time. In fact, we should think a little bit about what's wrong if this structure has existed for so darn long, right? Even though the world has moved on, right? And the curricula at a lot of our great schools, at least in the US, remains very much the same. I had an uncle that went to Harvard about 45 years before I did. We took some of the same classes. We had some of the same professors. Not much had changed. But the difference between the 1960s and the 1990s or the 2000s is very, very great, as we know. Right? So universities need to rethink this, and that's exactly what we've done. Right? And the result that you get in terms of a curriculum is a very highly structured and highly scaffolded curriculum, one that builds on itself, right? In a way that I've actually never seen before. Okay. So we talked about global experience. We talked a little bit about touched upon just a little bit about learning of practical skills. Let's talk about how we can reinvent the classroom, right? So think of all the hours you've spent in class as students or maybe as teachers, right? Do you think we could make a more effective classroom? If you're a teacher, or particularly think of when we were students, do you think we can make classrooms more effective? You think, or classrooms perfect? Traditional classrooms perfect? I see some people saying, oh, not perfect. Okay. So what about doing that? What about rethinking what a classroom should be like? And we actually have a name for our classroom. It's called the Active Learning Forum, because it is all about active learning, not passive information dissemination, right? So it's about using scientifically proven pedagogical tools, stuff that we didn't even invent, because you know what? You don't have to invent most of this stuff. People have been doing so, and people have been showing that certain methodologies work for decades. Right? And then it's about thinking about, okay, nowadays, what technology, finally getting to a little bit of technology here, what technology can we selectively use to further augment those scientifically proven tools? The tools work very well even when there's no technology component at all. Many of them were invented decades ago or shown to be effective decades ago before there was a lot of technology that was relevant for the classroom. But nowadays, you can actually use technology to further those or even optimize those learning outcomes. And it creates an intensely intimate and engaging classroom. It also helps that at least at Minerva, all of our classes, 100% of our classes are small seminars, 14 to 18 people, never more than 18 to 19 people ever. Have you ever heard of a university that has 100% all small seminar classes that employ 100% fully active learning? Maybe you have, I haven't. If you do, let me know. Right? Let me show you a little bit about what the Minerva classroom looks like, what the active learning forum looks like.
The active learning forum is the unexpected learning forum, the place where you're constantly engaging with what you're learning.
As a Minerva student, I get to take classes from anywhere in the city.
All of Minerva's classes are taught in the seminar format with a maximum of 18 students.
Everyone agrees that higher education could be much better than it is today. Minerva is acting on that by putting together state-of-the-art technology and superb pedagogy. We have at our fingertips tools that are designed to engage the students 100% of the time.
When you characterize a problem, it's important that it helps guide you to the solution.
Perfect. That's excellent.
In a normal classroom, there's people behind you, there's people to the side of you, but it's nice to be able to see everybody and their reactions to what's being talked about in class.
I feel like I'm in a room with all of my students. I simply forget I'm on the computer. You will be going into breakout groups?
It's the kind of learning where we're an active participant instead of passive recipient, and it's so much more fun than a traditional class.
We are the only school in the world that uses the science of learning to design not just what we teach, but how we teach it.
Minerva students live and study together. Having that human interaction really strengthens the online class experience.
We can do things with education that have simply never been possible before. And that's what we're trying to do at Minerva.
We can do things that have just not been possible before, that combination of the best of pedagogical science, technology. It's about active, not passive. You notice that, 不好意思，今天用的那个简体字，我繁体字的版本就没找出来。有2个版本，我在大陆演讲很多。I'm like, oh, the 简体字版本, right? So, it's also about applying the skills that you actually learn in real life situations, right? So here's something else that this particular model for higher education, that Minerva actually does, is we're very big on experiential learning, right? So we say, because students are living together in these major global cities, right, there are tons of opportunities for experiential learning, location-based assignments, projects, right, with institutions, and I mean organizations, I should say, not necessarily other schools. Normally it's government institutions, companies or such like that, that actually, where our students can actually, with whom our students can actually engage with while they're there, and either apply what they learn or see what they've been learning, see how others actually apply it, right? Minerva does something that I haven't seen elsewhere, in that we offer what we call co-curricular activities. So these aren't classes, it's not strictly homework per se, but it's not just extracurricular fun stuff. Hopefully it's enjoyable, right? But these are activities that get students out into the communities, right? Further leverage the resources and facilities of these great cities, right? And augment those learnings from the classroom. Very, very important, right? One other thing that this institution does, and we believe any great university should do, is it takes a very, very serious approach to career path trajectory and accelerating career paths, right? Now, first of all, when you look at and you realize what our students learn, they're learning transferable skills, these practical skills. Right? They learn these things, that's one. 2, they're learning them in a global context and developing that global experience and that resilience that happens when you're moving from place to place and you're experiencing, engaging with other peoples and other cultures. But we say that's actually not enough for career support. Minerva has said this. Minerva actually has within our institution something we call the Professional Development Agency. And this is a group of my colleagues that focus on not only personalized coaching and preparation for people's internships, graduate programs or jobs when they're in school, but also very aggressively works to place them in those internships and jobs. I have never seen anything like this before either, right? I always like to say for one of my graduate programs, I went to Harvard Business School, which is probably one of the top business schools, at least in the United States, they say. And even though this was one of the best business schools, traditionally speaking, and even though it's a business school, which means it's focusing on helping people get jobs, right? They have nothing compared to what Minerva has actually set up. Not surprisingly, the vast majority of our students, and keep in mind, we don't have graduates yet. We're still relatively new. We have 2 classes of students. We won't have our first graduates until 2019. But yet the several hundred students that we do have been doing internships, mainly during the summertime. And the feedback from their supervisors, where they've worked, where they've done research, is, well, it's what we expected and hoped, but it's pretty amazing. These people say they cannot believe that these are university students, because these people think and apply cognitive tools like somebody who's been to a top university for 4 years, a graduate who's worked for several years. And we say, yeah, that's what happens when you take this structured, purposeful approach to the learning and application of these habits of mind. And as you can see, even just the past year or two, many of the internships, short-term positions that our students have, it's pretty amazing. I couldn't have done anything quite like they're doing, be it this research that they do at Caltech or at the Santa Fe Institute, or stuff that they've been doing for Amazon or Uber. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so the question is then, right? I pose this question. If we think of ourselves as students, particularly, or maybe parents, I'm a parent, maybe parents here. I think when you look at Minerva and you look at this very different model that we have, it's a very purposefully different model. You say, okay, who is this maybe suitable for? Who's ready for the challenge? Because I will not kid you, we have put together a very rigorous and intense experience, and we've done so on purpose, right? But remember in the beginning I said it's a uniquely accessible one. So imagine if you selected students for this university, not in the traditional way, and certainly not in the traditional way that U.S. universities select students, which is very not transparent, very opaque, right? Designed to filter out people that they want. They have enough people from Taiwan, enough people from Thailand, enough people from India. They don't want too many of those people. Right? But Minerva says, we just want the brightest students from around the world. So merit-based admissions, or how we assess people just purely on merit, right? So as you can see, we're trying to create something that's of a better quality than anything that exists, and then offer it for a lower cost, right? The process itself is very, very different than traditional schools processes. And again, I don't think any of us here are maybe going to be reapplying for university anytime soon, right? So I won't dwell on this. But keep in mind, it's designed to be a much more fair and equitable process for people from around the world, right? The other thing I mentioned is, we said, listen, if we're going to build a better university, particularly if it's a US-based university, you have to do something about the crazy cost of higher education in the US. 我经常说，美国人都是觉得我们的大学就是实在是太贵，被气得狗急跳墙，right? 简直是 right? Because it's ridiculous. $50,000 just for tuition. 更不用说什么生活费 is 有点离谱的。我作为美国人，我也觉得离谱。So Minerva says, listen, we can do a lot better by focusing on just providing an amazing education, but not running things like professional sports teams, right? No tenure for professors. So instead of $45,000 or $50,000, Minerva's tuition is $12,500. Even when you consider living costs, most of which don't go to us, it's still less than half of what you spend at traditional top schools in the US. And then, certainly for all students that actually qualify, regardless of where you are around the world, we provide financial aid. This is very, very different. You know, there are only, in addition to Minerva, there are only 5 universities in the United States that will give financial aid equally to, you know, non-American students. They'll give it to students from Taiwan, students from Japan, students from India, the same as they would for Americans, right? Only 5 schools. But those other 5 schools severely limit the number of international students they have. Right? Whereas Minerva has mainly non-American students, right? So things get a little bit different, right? Most of our students, as a matter of fact, as I said, actually have this financial aid, right? It's a little bit about some of our admissions data. The thing I was going to mention here only is that even though Minerva is uniquely accessible, it's also very selective. I believe I've run out of time. I don't know if we have any time for questions or have I eaten up all my question time, but if we do, I'd certainly be happy to hear your questions, thoughts, ideas, suggestions. Thank you.
谢谢 Mr. Federico， 谢谢 Mr. Ken Ross 为我们带来如此精彩的演说。接下来我们将邀请国际创客教育始祖 Arduino 公司的执行长 Federico Musto 为我们带来云端物联网科技创客教育趋势的专题演讲。让我们用热烈的掌声欢迎 Mr. Federico Musto。Now let's welcome Mr. Federico Musto, CEO